Hello everybody and welcome to today's video. This is about my backpacking trip to Point Reyes National Seashore. For you folks not local to the Bay Area, it's it's like a 45-minute drive north of San Francisco. And since I live in Santa Clara, it was like an hour and a half, I think, 2 hours, something like that. So my trail started at the Bear Valley Visitor Center, and it went over the mountain. I don't think there's a name for this mountain, but my destination was Coast Campground on the other side. And when I had planned this route originally, I didn't think the mountain would be that big of a challenge, but there were some sections that were a lot steeper than I had anticipated. And since I was carrying a tripod with a camera, instead of using the walking poles that I had brought, it added to the challenge. And there weren't a lot of vistas as you were walking up. There were some areas where you can see the valley, like this one here. But for the most part, you're kind of within the trees and within the shrubbery. There were a few points on the way down the mountain where it would break out and you could kind of see the entire valley. Yeah, like in this clip here, which was absolutely beautiful. It was a really good day that day, so you could see really far off into the distance. So this is Point Reyes here. That point there at the very end is the lighthouse, which you can drive to if you're not feeling the whole backpacking thing. And then this is taking my way down to the campsite. This is campsite number 3 at the Coast Campground. It was a really nice site. It's very private. As you can see, there's like tall shrubbery going around the whole site. So they're pretty close to the neighboring sites, but it feels private. It's very spacious too, but I had some trouble finding flat ground. I picked this spot here, which was still not that flat. I certainly felt it when I was sleeping, and if you've been backpacking or hiking before, you know that even the slightest little tilt is something that you'll feel while you're sleeping. But in the end, it was really no big deal. So getting my sleep system set up now. I wasn't planning on talking about the gear that I use, but if that's something you are interested in, just let me know and I can go through it. I know there's certainly a lot of videos out there right now where people are talking about the gear that they bring, so I didn't want to rehash something that is covered quite extensively. There was water here. It was very hard water, so it was like kind of murky. It's entirely safe to drink, but if that's something that concerns you, then ideally you'd bring a filter or something. I only brought iodine tablets on this trip, which was not necessary because the water is clean. And as the name of the campsite suggests, there is beach access. It's like a 2-minute walk down, and the beach stretches I think from here all the way down to the lighthouse is entirely walkable, if that's something that you want to do. I'm enjoying some chamomile tea before bed. It's funny when you go backpacking, you end up going to bed at like 7:30 or 8 because there's really nothing else to do. I neglected to bring a book on this trip, so it was just my thoughts and I. And we are on to the next day now. Gorgeous morning. I picked a very good weekend to do this because the weather was pretty crap the week before and the week after, so I really had a nice little window here. But that being said, since you are camping near the ocean, there's a lot of dew in the morning, so expect things left outside to be soaking wet in the morning. So I like to bring a trash bag just to keep everything separated from all the dry stuff in your bag. Not really important for me this trip, just because it wasn't one night thing. If you're going for multiple days or over a weekend, then it's more important to keep the dry things dry. And for those of you who are new to backpacking or camping, or just didn't know this, It's important to air dry your things, even your sleeping bag, even if it didn't get wet, because your body releases moisture through the nighttime, and if that moisture doesn't dry out, it can lead to mold in the backpack. Oh, I'm sorry, in the sleeping bag. So this is the coast trail now on my way back, and it was by far the prettiest part of this entire hike. The trail that we're on is right on top of the cliffs, next to the ocean, and if you walk over to the side, you can hear seals or birds down below, which was pretty cool. There's not a lot of wildlife here. People were concerned about like raccoons and whatnot, but I didn't see any. There are elk on Point Reyes, and I think they're pretty rare. So I was pretty fortunate to I saw them like walking up on top of the mountain, which was pretty cool. And then here I am making the turn back towards the car. This is the Bear Valley Trail, which branches off of Coast Trail and heads back inland. And as the name suggests, you're kind of walking through the valley, so you're in the shrubs and the trees. So it's not as picturesque as Coast Trail, but it is the way home. As you can see, the walking poles did make it out eventually in the end. At this point I was pretty tired, so I was just excited to be back. And so yeah, if you have any questions about this trip or want to know more about what I bring, just let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to get to it. Anyways, thank you for watching.